It always starts with a desperate Google search at 2 a.m. We type, how to make my boring life look cool. The room is freezing, the screen is bright. The algorithm hits us with Peter McKinnon, the king of plaid and B-roll. We sit hypnotized as he performs the slurp and slam, aggressively inhaling caffeine before slamming his mug down on a rustic wood table. He cons us. He says our life isn't boring, we just don't have enough background blur. We believe that if we film our toast at 120 FPS with an f1.2 aperture set to moody epidemic sound lo-fi beats, we are filmmakers. So we buy the lie. We convince our significant others that dropping $2,500 on a Sony FE 50mm f1.2 GM isn't spending money, it's just a smart investment that loses value slower than cash. We buy the camera not to document reality, but to hide from it behind a variable ND filter, thinking a brand logo counts as a personality. We get lost in Costco between the chickens and the tires. We leave with the starter pack, a sad Canon Rebel or an A6000 equipped with that creaky plastic 1855mm kit lens. We stand in the backyard and photograph a single dandelion in green box auto mode. The background is slightly blurry. We tell our friends we are getting into photography. Then we visit r/photography. The mob bullies us. They tell us our kit lens is garbage. We cave in, we spend $125 on the nifty 50. We find out about bokeh. We think it means art, but it actually means blurring the background so nobody sees the dumpsters behind the model. We start hating the number f/4. We weld the aperture ring to f1.8. We judge the normal people using iPhones. We post portraits where the nose pores are sharp but the eyes are fuzzy blobs. We missed focus. We caption this disaster, mood. Lights off, monitor on. Welcome to the cult. First, we say the B word. It's not art, it's a cheap trick to erase the background because we're shooting in an ugly parking lot and lack the composition skills to hide it. We get obsessed with pixel peeping. We zoom in 300% on a 4K monitor to hunt for flaws. It is pointless. Our audience consumes our work on a cracked 6-inch phone while sitting on the toilet. We demand fast glass. We buy huge lenses not for light, but to scare the rookies with slow f/4 zooms. We scream about chromatic aberration, purple fringing, to justify torching our savings on the price of a used Honda for the G-Master. We catch gas, or gear acquisition syndrome. It's shopping addiction for guys scared their art sucks. We freeze and say, I can't shoot yet, I have the wrong focal length. Finally, we split hairs between clinical and character. Clinical means the lens is perfect. Character is a coping mechanism for Leica owners explaining why their $8,000 lens is blurry and worse than a plastic toy. It's late, we're angry. We start fights in the toxic comment sections of r/Sony Alpha. We divide ourselves into two rival religions. If we pick Sony, photography becomes a spreadsheet. We brag about 0.02 second IAF and dynamic range. We use our $4,000 bodies to take perfectly sharp photos of brick walls to test for corner softness. We are technicians, not artists. Fuji and Leica guys claim they care about the process. We refuse to edit. We preach about color science and film simulations because they feel organic. We act like shooting JPEGs as a spiritual act. The tech nerds start the fight. We call the Fuji users hipsters who care more about how the camera looks than the photo, reducing a tool to a fashion accessory. The Fuji camp fires back. They call us soulless computers with lenses. They mock our reliance on algorithms. It's all noise. Neither side has taken a decent photo since 2019, but the arguing makes us feel productive. The high wears off. That plastic lens feels like a toy now. The focus motor grinds. We feel empty. We need permission to ruin our finances, so we turn to Christopher Frost, the monotone monk of charts. We sit there watching a guy talk to a brick wall for 20 minutes. He zooms in 400% on a picture of a clock and a $10 bill. He points out distortions in the extreme corners. A cold sweat breaks out. We realize our photos are plagued by optical failure. We cannot create art under these conditions. So we swipe the credit card, we max out the card for the G-Master totem. It costs 2 months' rent. It weighs enough to give us carpal tunnel. It's a heavy brick of metal and buyer's remorse. We look our partner in the eye and lie. We say we need maximum aperture to separate the subject from reality and achieve 3D pop. In reality, we just bought military spy gear to take high-res photos of our cat's butt on the couch. This hobby makes us 4 kinds of freaks. First, we become the chart humper. We strap the heavy camera to our chest with a stiff peak design anchor. We stop photographing humans, we only photograph masonry to verify our lens isn't decentered. We scream about resolution at 200% crop. Or we turn into the street creeper. We dress in all black tactical gear to be stealthy. We stick a wide lens in a stranger's face, whisper candid reality, and run away before the cops call. Some of us turn into the tone zone hipster. We abandon specs for a dusty Canon AE1. We wear a wool beanie in July. We photograph gas stations at night and spend more on developing film than on food because the grain looks vibey. Finally, we become disciples of Jared Pollan, the big hair of raw files. We wear his I Shoot Raw t-shirt to formal weddings. We physically sniff the rubber grip during unboxings. Our family watches in horror. We have become the weirdo who smells electronics. We stare at the receipt. We tell our spouses it keeps its value better than gold. We pretend glass is an asset that holds value forever. We ignore the truth. Sony releases a Mark II version every 3 years that turns our investment into a paperweight. To justify the $3,900 body, we promise we're pivoting to wedding photography. We claim 1 gig will pay for the rig, but we never book the gig because the thought of directing a bride makes us vomit. The camera sits on the shelf, depreciating faster than the milk in the fridge, while we go back to shooting pigeons in the park. We insist we need 61 megapixels just in case National Geographic calls us to print a billboard of our succulent. Then we upload that massive uncompressed data to Instagram. The app crushes it to 1080 pixels. It looks like garbage. We use satellite-tier sensors to capture content viewed on a greasy screen while someone is doom-scrolling on the toilet. We tell these lies to hide the painful truth. We have $6,000 of gear and 0 talent. No amount of blur can fix a bad eye. We wake the family up at 4 a.m. to catch the golden hour. Our wife isn't a partner anymore, she's a pack mule. We load them down with the $600 overpriced carbon fiber tripod and scream, "Look wistful. No, not annoyed. Look at the horizon." Then we attempt urban candid work. We sit with Quiet Cafe and unsheath the white Sony FE 70 to 200mm f2.8. It is the size of a thermos. It screams, "I'm a weirdo" to everyone in the coffee shop. The shutter sounds like a car backfiring. The room clears. They think we're impressed. They're actually just uncomfortable. At parties, we leave the camera by the chips. We hope someone asks about it. When they do, we spew specs. 61 megapixels, AI tracking. They ask to see a photo. We panic. "I can't," we stammer. "I shoot in native format. It looks flat until I color grade it." We have $10,000 of gear on the table, but 0 usable images. Meanwhile, someone's aunt just airdropped a perfect video from her iPhone to the whole room. The living room is a mess. The lighting sucks. We are sweating behind the Sony A7R5 mounted on a tripod like surveying equipment. We've attached the Sony FE 50mm f1.2 GM, the heavy glass totem we mortgaged our dignity for. This is the Super Bowl of domestic photography. The kid tears the paper. We shoot wide open at f1.2 because we paid for the bokeh. Big mistake. The depth of field is thinner than a credit card. The real-time IAF panics and locks onto the high-contrast wrapping paper instead of the child's face. We start screaming commands. "Freeze! Hold the smile! I need to drop the ISO!" We sound like a drill sergeant. The kid ignores us. The moment is blurry. While we are frantically menu diving to find flexible spots small, Grandma pulls out a battered iPhone 11. She doesn't know what an aperture is. She taps the screen once. Apple's computational brain instantly balances the exposure and stabilizes the joy. 10 seconds later, phones ding across the room. She beamed the video to the group chat. Everyone is laughing. We stand in the corner like idiots holding a $6,500 brick. We miss the shot. Game over. That full-frame sensor didn't make us an artist, it just made us broke. We spent a fortune to be slower, louder, and worse than a grandma with a phone.